Good afternoon, Earth dwellers, and welcome to another video. I thought it might be cool to do this one on the authority problem, which if you're a student of A Course in Miracles, you're probably familiar with that idea. To understand really the authority problem across all the parameters of your human experience, or across all the parameters of what we term as life, it's kind of essential to understand the experience that we are having with life, which is altruistic. It's a singular experience. So when you find yourself, and I keep my finger on my nose when I find myself having a problem with authority, or feeling resistance to being told what to do, or all of these things, and my sense of personal identity is being confronted and affronted, it's because I have forgotten that I am one with the whole, and that all things work together for the greater good. Now, the conscious mind, the ego mind, whose purpose has been given to maintain the autonomy of the individual sense of self, would have me believe that I am an individual, I'm entitled to rights, and I have a say in what happens to me and things like that. But according to who? According to who? So I would have to look at that question and say, well, according to my forefathers who established these Magna Carta, or these constitutions or documents of, guaranteeing my human blah, blah, blah. It's like, at the end of the day, the mind that thinks like that still dies. So salvation and enlightenment and the spiritual pursuit of things, of truth, looks at the idea that then what dies is not what life is, because life is eternal. And so what I see on the outer spectrum of my world, in the external world around me, that tends to trigger me and activate my sense of resistance to authority, is nothing more than a symbolic representation of my thinking about my relationship with the whole, with God, with Allah, with universal mind, whatever you want to call that, it doesn't really matter. So in the pursuit then of my spiritual release, my spiritual freedom, which is already mine but for the taking, but in the ability to remember it and be in the enactment of living it, in the enactment of living free consciously as an awake mind. It's important to be able to apply some principles to what seems very vocal and very pressing out there, that is tempting me to want to reinforce again and again my sense of individual self in favor of being one with the whole. Now, I cannot have peace of mind unless in my own sense of self I am one with all things, one with the whole. And so learning then to let go of resistance, right? And Jesus says in the Bible, resist not evil. Learning then to let go of my sense of resistance to things is going to firstly probably push all my buttons by necessity, push all my buttons and put me into a confrontational place within myself, where I have to make a choice again, whether I choose to be part of the whole, or whether I want to maintain my individual sense of autonomy to accomplish whatever I think it is in the world that I need to do, even though I'm just going to die at the end of it. And when I say I'm going to die, I'm referring only to the body, not the mind, which cannot die, which is eternal, the spirit, which will find itself back here doing this again, listening to another silly video like this and wondering why it didn't pay more attention the first time. And maybe this is the second time you're listening to a silly video like this. Maybe this all sounds a little bit familiar to you and you're probably thinking, maybe I've listened to this before. Don't think too much about that. You can end up with a real head fuck. So yes, wow, and thank you. Right now, yes, wow, and thank you are 3 words you can safely use in conjunction with anything that is requested of you and any order that is given to you and any, it's a willingness to say yes, wow, and thank you that allows the energy, if you like, if you want to call it energy, or the light of your being to continue to express freely, despite the fact that you may have a tendency, a residual tendency, born of the immaturity of your spiritual devotion to want to continue to resist whatever it is that's asked of you. But you can be assured that nothing ever is asked of you without that it is for your own higher good, to bring you into a new frame, a new reference of self, wherein you are able to see that you are not a victim of circumstances, you are not a victim of the world, you are not being actually pushed around by any kind of authority whatsoever, but that you are being guided to, what would I call it? Guided to a place wherein your own mind, you can see that you have blocks to the awareness of love's presence within you, that you then can apply your spiritual principle of forgiveness to release yourself from the nature of that block, which will bring the lesson to you again and again and again until you are willing to say yes, wow, and thank you. Right now, all resistance is resistance to God because God is everything. All love is self-love. And as you begin to pursue in earnest the removal of the blocks to the awareness of love's presence within yourself, you're going to have those confrontational moments. You're going to have people, situations, and events in your face to push your buttons and pull your triggers and show you where it is your resistance to authority is. It doesn't matter whether that authority shows up as your government, as your spouse, as a security person, as conditions of entry for something or whatever. It doesn't matter at all. It's always perfect. And that's a lesson in itself, in that everything is always perfect, and that I'm learning that in this world, to see perfection, I must allow that to be a present understanding within my own consciousness that the world is a place of change where everything is different from one day to the next, and live in the acceptance and the abiding willingness to accept that. Otherwise, I'm going to find myself again in resistance to, how come yesterday you said this and how come tomorrow that, and you're contradicting yourself, and this world's stupid, and why don't we ever learn from our past mistakes, and all of these things. But the world is a place that was made for the mind to undergo a process of learning to make better decisions based on what it wants to learn, as an idea of choosing whether I want to see myself as flesh and continue in the process of death and rebirth, or whether I want to transcend the physical plane by choosing to see myself as spirit and begin the unlearning process of thousands of years that I've been embarked upon up until this point, of convincing myself of what it is I am, that I'm not a body. I'm not a body and you're not a body. We are spirit, whole and perfect as created. And the resistance to learning that is going to show up in many forms until it is learned. So yes, wow, and thank you are guidelines, are guide words to help you confront and face any situation that shows up. And if you find that resistance comes up in you, which it should, remember it's a path of healing, there's got to be something to heal, otherwise you wouldn't still be here, I wouldn't still be here. As it brings up resistance in you, it's like, wow, hands together, knees on the carpet, help me heal my mind of my resistance to a whole relationship with the universe. Not the government or that person or that situation. They're only symbolically playing a part for me to show me that I still have resistance within me in itself. So the authority problem isn't really a problem when you can see that it's no different to any other lesson I'm being presented, such as the ideas of other lessons of wanting things out in the world. You know, if I value something in the world, I'm placing my value there rather than on my inner kingdom, which is my spiritual altar, and I'm going to be giving my power away, let's say, into a temporary arrangement that will result in me also having an association with that consciously, wherein I'm lost amidst the chaos of trying to juggle one temporary arrangement against another in order to try and maintain some kind of status quo in the world where I can find peace out there. And I can't ever find peace out there because peace can only be found within. So embrace and enjoy the journey. Consider yourself as a crusader, as a adventurer in mind. It's a brilliant psychology, the spiritual path, when you begin to see that everything that triggers you, everything that activates you is an opportunity to heal part of a relationship idea within yourself with the whole, not the situation. That situation out there will change when your mind changes about it. But if I'm constantly out there trying to adjust and put all my ducks in a row and heal this person, that person, and change that person's mind about me, or that person, whatever, thinks I'm this, that, and the other, and all these things that activate my emotional reactivity, I'm going to be here forever. Which isn't fun, I can guarantee you. So, unless you find that fun, if you find that fun, carry on. But it's far easier and far simpler to recognize all things out there as ideas in my own mind, reflecting an idea of what it is that I have chosen to see. And then in that, be given that opportunity through the realization that, hang on, I'm in a transitory process here. I can choose how I want to see that again. And to look beyond that situation into what it's really representing about me in my relationship with God, the whole, the one, all is one. It's pretty simple, really, when you can see it. So, yes, wow, and thank you. And keep your finger on your own nose, Dave. Easy to say, hard to do. The temptation to always want to put my finger out there and go, it's funny because there's, like, in a sense, you have to embark upon, as a spiritual student, let's say, you have to embark upon this process where you kind of cloister yourself off from the world of duality or the world of me and you, and for a whole period until whatever, when you experience the union with God or your divine revelation, you have to keep your finger there. It's like, hang on, I need to achieve a goal here, which is achieved by remaining in a singular sense of self within my own association with myself, so that I don't see others as separate from me, but others as reflecting back to me what I need to learn to heal within myself, so that I can bring my relationship with the whole into accord, into a whole sense of inner peace and calm, and within me that tranquility that comes from a divine bearing that is automatically active in me when I choose to ask for help. And that's the fourth word. Yes, wow, and thank you. And then if you can't utter any of those words, help, help. And you'll find through faith that the prayer of the heart for the healing of the mind that believes that what is going on externally is so will allow a transition and release of the emotionality that is bound or that binds me to my beliefs about the world. And so I'm constantly releasing my perception of things. And as I heal my mind, the body follows, let's say, and also my external particulars will begin to change also, but it's not really up to me how long that takes. Time is not of my concern. The immediacy of salvation is available within me now, and all I need to do is to activate that within myself and stay active in it by being consciously aware of what's going on around me as far as what am I being shown about myself, in my willingness to forgive myself for my erroneous decisions that I've made that brought this situation to me, so that I can transcend the physical world and go onward in the journey of the soul. All right. My home is not of this world. Your home is not of this world. We are spirit. We are one. Forgive, forgive, forgive. And hopefully through these acts of forgiveness wherein we declare our holiness to a world that would have us believe that we are corruptible and forthcoming of death, we'll begin to shine a new light of self-recognition from within ourselves to each other and begin to simply interact with each other in a way that is without conflict, because we are no longer defending the identity of self under the auspices or under the recognition of the fact that we are one. I hope that helps. All right, I love you, and if you haven't heard of A Course in Miracles, scroll my page a bit. You'll find the Finding Me website link in a few places here and there, and you can download a free PDF copy of it on there, or you can order the white edition. Make sure you get parts A and B, 2 books. A is the text, B is the workbook with all the lessons. You need to do the lessons. And otherwise, if you want the blue book, you can go to the Foundation for Inner Peace on Google, and I think it's about $25 on there for the whole thing in one edition, and you'll find it anywhere online. There's all sorts of apps for free and daily lesson reminders, and all there's a whole thing of it there. And as you begin to engage with it, it's like anything. You start off as a beginner and you pull your hair out a bit and you give up, and then you come back to it, and it's one of those things, you know. So sometimes it seems like 2 steps forward and a step back, or 1 step forward and 2 steps back. But remember, you're entitled to miracles. And the whole point of the Course is to bring about a shift in consciousness, which we call a miracle, which you will have no doubt within yourself when it happens was a miracle, because you won't be able to explain how it happened whatsoever. All right. Peace and love.